Death Star, man.
Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
Well, it's a new week, and the pace of Star Wars news has reached a new low. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Man, Star Wars is at a snail's pace, man.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It has reached such a slow pace that we are going to take an interview with a guy and warp it into something it's not.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know you saw it.
Yes, I did.
You know, they talked with Adam Driver.
Right.
About Ben Solo.
Right.
And if you go around to the media analysis or stories about it, man, I gotta say, this desire to defend The Last Jedi at all costs has gotten to a new low.
Right.
So I guess what we'll do is real quick. There is a short clip from this interview about Ben Solo's redemption arc. So we'll listen to that real quick, and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
I had an overall arc in mind that he wanted to do, which, then changed. But his idea was that almost the opposite journey of Vader, where Vader starts the most confident, the most, committed to the dark side. And by, the last movie, he's the most vulnerable and weak. And he wanted to start at the opposite, where this character was the most confused and vulnerable. And by the end of the three movies would be most committed to the dark side. So I tried to keep that arc in mind, regardless if that wound up not being the journey anyway, because it changed, obviously, as we were shooting.
Yeah, right.
Right, but I was still kind of focused on that.
When did it change?
With Ryan, he took it into a different direction, but still it kind of still tracked with the character. Then the last one, it changed into being, about them and the dyad and things like that.
And then again, so you
and kind of evolving into Ben Solo. That was never part of it.
That wasn't either.
No. Because Ben Solo, he was Ben Solo from the beginning, but it wasn't. It was never a version where we actually see Ben Solo when I first signed up for it.
So now.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss.
Yeah.
Because the stuff I'm about to bring up, I'm at a loss.
Okay.
Because let's just this article I got right here. I think this is from comicbook.com. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I'm going to go with it because it's what I wrote for some reason.
Right.
Could be wrong. I'd rather the blame fall on the right people.
Yep. The blame. I love it. Okay.
But they say some critics of the sequel trilogy claim that it was Star Wars The Last Jedi writer-director Rian Johnson to significantly deviate from narrative threads Abrams teased with The Force Awakens. Though Driver explained how Kylo's journey was relatively consistent in that sequel, and it was Abrams who then pivoted from the original plan.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Well, if you I don't know. No. He started to say one thing and then corrected himself. Yeah. Well,
and then said, "Well, it was the last movie that actually changed it." No.
Yeah.
It was the middle movie that changed it. It was the last movie that said what it was.
Right. And Okay. This is something, we were prepping, getting ready to start recording. You brought something up, and this is really what I was taking away from this as well, right? And you're talking about what you and I were talking about with Kylo Ren years ago on this show. And your feelings about the character and stuff. I gotta admit, I was not necessarily as on board with that route as you were, but your thoughts on Kylo Ren. I mean, go ahead and lay it out, because
my thoughts on Kylo Ren was, this is a character that was the inverse of everything we've seen before. Right. He's struggling with the light. He's teetering back towards it. He's not a light side character that we get introduced to that's struggling with the dark side.
Right.
We get introduced to this dark side character who's struggling with being pulled back to the light. Right?
Yep.
He doesn't want to go there. Like, his mind is set at not going back to the light.
Exactly.
Okay? And then he goes and commits patricide. Kills his father. Okay? This is the moment to me where this guy was going to commit to being the big bad and conclude the Skywalker side. He's the Skywalker blood that we have in this.
Right.
This is the full circle moment. He's going to commit fully to the bad. He's going to be the last of the line.
Exactly.
Right? We had the good struggling with the bad. Then we had the bad struggling with the good. They're going to finish on a low note. It's what it is.
Right.
It's what it is. And you know what? It's in the vein of a tragedy, right?
Absolutely.
So Kylo Ren was being set up in that first movie to be the big bad, period. We didn't need anyone else. We didn't need to bring back Palpatine. Kylo Ren was going to be the bad guy.
Right.
Okay? And then we get to the middle chapter. And then we get to the Reylo movement. This is not a J.J. Abrams machination.
Right.
Okay? J.J. Abrams didn't make Force Skype.
Exactly. At no point in The Force Awakens was there a place for Rey and Kylo. I mean, this was, they were at odds with each other. I mean, they did not see eye to eye about anything. None of that started happening until Last Jedi.
I'll tell you what, when we finished The Force Awakens, never did I think Rey was going to stow herself in an escape pod.
Right.
Because they're still good and Ben.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she loves him.
Right.
Or any bullshit like that. All right. You cannot tell me that, like, the Force dyad that they're trying to use as this explanation.
Right.
For why Abrams actually turned it a different direction. No, the Force dyad was the Force Skype explanation.
Exactly.
Why the hell are these people talking to each other through the Force? Like they're in the same room.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so intense that the rain from one scene shows up in another?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have answers for that.
And I'm no fan of J.J. Abrams.
That's the part that I you made that clear from the beginning. And
from the day they announced he was doing The Force Awakens.
Yes.
I was like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
And I would love everyone to go back and listen to this. When they announced Rian Johnson doing the second one,
yep,
I was actually excited.
Right.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, I feel like, man.
And I'd love to point to the middle of our discussions, right? Let's talk about when The Force Awakens came out.
Right.
And how we handled ourselves. I was very much a... Did I say The Last Jedi? No, I meant The Last Jedi.
Okay, Last Jedi. Right, yep.
When The Last Jedi came out,
yeah,
I was very much a Rian Johnson apologist. While everyone else was losing their mind, I was trying to defend this and trying to say this was going to go somewhere that...
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's where my fear of J.J. Abrams did take over, because he went another direction that conflicted with even what the other guy did.
Right.
But when I look back at it, it is the direction that came out of The Last Jedi that forced the hand of The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Because if you look at The Force Awakens, go back and watch it without the context of the other two. It's hard with where we're at. But try to look at it from your lens initially. It is a very different film from the other two.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I don't have a problem with looking at it from that context. When the Force Awakens was the only sequel we had, prior to The Last Jedi coming out, the biggest criticism that it had was, oh, it's just a redo of A New Hope.
Right.
That was it. That was the biggest criticism. I mean,
so let's put it this way: the guy who was willing to copy one of the other movies, let's just take that criticism and run with it. The guy who was willing to copy one of those other movies was willing to go and completely derail and change all of it. No,
right, exactly.
No, that middle movie. You can watch all of the Star Wars films in sequence. The one that feels the most off from all of those is The Last Jedi.
Absolutely.
Period. If you love it, you love it. That's fine. I have no problem with you. I have no qualm with you.
Right.
You love Star Wars the way you want to love Star Wars. But that film is very different from the others. Period.
Yep.
I have revisited this ad nauseum. Okay?
Yep.
Because I wanted to make sense of it. I can't.
I think a lot of us have done the same thing. And we're at a point where you've either and a lot like you, okay? When I came out of The Last Jedi, I was I can quote myself, and I've done it 100 times, and I'll do it again. I wasn't sure how I felt about that movie, right? I said it to my nephew. I'm not sure how I feel after that movie. So, but that was me struggling with my love of Star Wars as a franchise and the single film I just saw. And it was hard to come to grips with the fact that it was like, okay, this was something completely different and not anywhere close to where anybody was imagining it would go. And it's not that it was like in a good or bad place, but it was like, okay, where do they go from here? Because after The Last Jedi, it was like things were just about wrapped up. It was like,
yes,
and in The Last Jedi, I hate it, but it was the way Lucasfilm made these movies in the first place with the different directors and writers and stuff, and starting on them before the other ones finished and all that kind of stuff. There were like loose threads that JJ left in The Force Awakens that could have been pulled on in The Last Jedi that were never touched, never revisited. So it's like, why not? I mean, that stuff would have taken you down a quote unquote Star Wars path. You know what I'm saying? Where
Right.
a lot of the stuff that that we did see in The Last Jedi was simply, okay, we're going to take everything we know about Star Wars, chuck it out the window, and
Oh wait, didn't they do that at the beginning?
oh yeah, exactly what they did. Yes, we're going to pass the torch or the lightsaber, and yeah, chuck it over his shoulder. I mean, that was symbolic in more ways than one, in my opinion. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's like it kind of went that way in the writers' room, right?
Yeah.
You know, JJ's like, here, this is what I did, and Ryan's like, fuck that.
Yep. Right. Exactly. Now, it's to this day, I don't understand how we can like just not come to grips with that. And I don't understand why there's this I don't know what else you call it, but you know, love of Rian Johnson. I mean, he's made good movies, you know.
Well, let's just before we say that, and this, I'm taking my Last Jedi apologist side is gone. Okay. I'm no longer in that camp. But I will say this: The Last Jedi as a standalone movie would be a good film.
Yeah.
I still stand by that.
I agree.
To this day, as a standalone film, it would be a good film. It wasn't bad. I watched it. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Right.
But in the greater context of the saga, of even the trilogy that you're laying out,
yep,
it is a definite change.
Yeah.
It is it's a standout, but not the way you would typically use that term.
Right.
It stands out because it is so different.
Almost.
It's obvious.
Out of place.
It's out of place. It's out of place. It's obvious that Ryan's like, look, I have a style and I'm sticking to it no matter what.
Right.
And, you know, if you watch Rian Johnson's other films, that came through loud and clear. It's got a Rian Johnson style to it.
Absolutely.
Which, as an artist, good for him. For Star Wars, bad.
Yeah.
Okay. It would have been, he would have been the perfect choice for a standalone film. Or if you give him I'll say it. People won't like it. If you give him a trilogy and it's his trilogy and he's telling the entirety of it, it'll probably work.
You know, I have to admit, if you'd have gone with one of these guys to do the entire trilogy, we'd have been better off as a whole fan base.
I would go so far as to say if you went with someone else for the third one, we might have been better off.
True.
Because you didn't go from this tone to that tone back to the first tone. And then the first tone, he's like, oh, I got to fix everything that went wrong.
Right.
With what I tried to establish to begin with.
Yep.
So when you bring in the first guy and he tries to do damage control for the second guy, instead of say, okay, well, he changed this, so I need to go in this direction now.
Right.
That's a Lucasfilm misstep that makes that even worse for looking at The Last Jedi.
Yep.
I know that sounds apologist, but that's true.
I will say it like this, okay? Because you like to point out, you know, how everyone says that The Empire Strikes Back is the best one, blah, blah, blah. And you say, and...
Oh, I will say, and I quote, that's bullshit.
you hold on. What you like to say about that is that The Empire Strikes Back isn't the greatest movie that everyone thinks it is without Return of the Jedi.
Correct.
Okay. So,
because I will say this, no one walked out of the theaters after Empire Strikes Back and said that was the greatest Star Wars movie ever made.
right.
And granted, it's the second one. You're not going to say that after the second movie.
Right.
Sure. But no one walked out of there with like, wow, that changed everything. Like it's just, no one knew. The good guys lost. All right.
Yeah.
So the good guys lost. It's not wrapped up. There's no bow there.
Right.
Okay. Your story's not complete.
So I guess my point here is, with all of the hindsight we have, okay, after Return of the Jedi and that highlighting everything we love about The Empire Strikes Back and all, as much as those films work together to do that and make Empire look good, the sequel trilogy, episodes 8 and 9, highlight each other to make themselves look equally as bad, in my opinion. I mean,
and I would take that, like looking at Empire, right? And looking at what it did. And this was at a time where movies just didn't do this.
right?
Right? The good guys didn't lose in movies.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. You didn't get left on a cliffhanger like that at that time.
No.
Okay. Ryan Johnson tried to replicate that.
In a way.
He tried to be
I
the next Empire Strikes Back.
yeah. I just, I don't know. He didn't leave.
Well, let's just put it this way. Let's. The Empire Strikes Back unraveled the first movie. Right? It unraveled what happened in A New Hope.
Oh, yeah, as far as like, blew up the Death
Ryan
Star,
Johnson's like, wow, I got to unravel the first film.
I guess.
Okay, yeah, but you can't unravel it where you can't like stitch it back together, dude. This is not how this works. It's a
Right.
trilogy. You got to be able to wrap it up.
Yes.
You cannot say, okay, they made a complete movie, which is what The Force Awakens was. It was made in the vein of A New Hope, where it's a complete movie. You have a start, a battle, like the good guys win. You have a celebration. Like
Yep.
You have all this stuff that was A New Hope. It was a complete film.
Yes.
Okay. It was written as if there wasn't going to be another.
Except
So
for
you-
the
So this is
postscript of
JJ.
it.
This is JJ's fault too, right? Because JJ tried to do the same thing. He's like, oh, well, A New Hope was a complete movie. It could have stood alone. So I have to do that.
Well, okay, I will say that is true to a degree, except for the postscript of The Force Awakens, which I'm calling postscript is Rey and Chewie flying to Ahch-To to find Luke.
Right.
That part is the
Tease for the
this
next
is-
part.
This is our launching point for what comes next, right?
Right. Yeah. So
That's so yeah.
shit. Even episode 1 didn't do that.
Episode 1?
Yeah.
You mean the Phantom Menace?
Correct.
Right.
So yeah, y'all can look to George. He was able to pull it off twice.
Yep. Yeah, true. And really, with episode 1, he knew he was going to be making an episode 2. So,
Well, yeah, because at that point he established it as 4, 5, and 6, and then 1.
right.
You knew 2 and 3 were coming.
Yep. Yeah, when he made A New Hope, he wasn't sure there was going to be another one.
Yeah. Actually, in all likelihood, there probably wasn't going to be.
Right.
That's why that's like when you come down to brass tacks, right? That's why that's the greatest Star Wars movie ever made.
A New Hope?
A New Hope.
Yeah.
In all honesty, like when you break it all down, that's the one that is the pinnacle of everything.
Absolutely.
Because without that one, you don't have anything else.
Right.
It's a complete film.
Yep.
It's one that people can watch A New Hope and never have to watch another Star Wars movie again because they got a complete movie.
You got a complete movie. You got a complete hero's journey in that movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
You got everything you need in a film out of that one.
Yep.
It's the only one in the Star Wars saga that you get that. The only one.
Exactly.
Because if you've been paying attention and start, like I made the joke about episode 1 did that, right? You got a complete film. You got the good guys do this, the bad guys do this, good guys win. You got a celebration at the end. But if you've been paying attention as a Star Wars fan, you got this guy Palpatine who says some stuff.
Sure.
And that sets up more.
That you have that scene. You also have Yoda talking to Mace. You know, always
Right.
two there are. Master and apprentice. Was this the master or the apprentice? Right. So
Correct. So that one, if you've been paying attention, like if you watch just episode 1, never watch any other Star Wars. That's a complete film. You don't need to go on
right.
if you don't want to.
Right.
Same with A New Hope. But A New Hope, I mean, it definitely was. There's a possibility this will never go on from here.
Exactly. I mean, you know, we're talking about all these little nuggets in these movies that are like the launch point for what's going to come next. You know, in episode 1 at the end and episode 7 at the end and all that. At the end of episode 4, Luke, Han, and Chewie turn around, look at the audience, and it's fanfare out, basically, you know?
Right.
I mean, okay.
I mean, you have the moment that leads to the possibility of other films long before that.
Right.
You know, with Vader regaining control of his ship and flying off into the sunset, right?
Sure, yes.
But that's it. That's all you got.
Exactly.
That this could continue.
Yep.
Is Vader still alive?
Yep.
That's it. But hell, I mean, without the rest of the saga, is Vader's significance really important in that film? He's just a bad guy.
Well, he is the bad guy, but I mean...
Yeah, he's the bad guy, but is him surviving necessarily... He's by himself, right? Like, you don't have an army anymore.
Exactly.
As far as you know, the Empire's destroyed.
Yep.
So, he's one guy without an army. That's them leaving it open to if they ever want to do a sequel, they can, because that guy lived.
Exactly.
But that's the end of it. It's not, oh, they got to do a sequel. That guy lives.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just very different. Very different.
Very.
And this, like I said, I read this article and I'm like, man, this apologist crap. I know I did it, and I did it for a long time.
Well, being a fan from way back, which we both are, it was hard. It was hard to come to grips with, oh my, what did they do with Star Wars? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's gotten easier to look at now and be critical of it. And you know what? I'm going to have to be okay with being able to be that critical of Star Wars now. You know, it's a new day. It's different. I mean,
but I mean, we say this, but I feel like you and I are both at a good point, right? Like, we say this stuff about these films, but look, at the end of the day, when we sit down for a Star Wars marathon,
yep,
they'll be there.
Absolutely.
We'll watch them.
Yep.
We'll bitch about them the whole way,
Yeah.
but we'll watch them.
Exactly.
It's the way it is. They have their flaws. And like I said, The Last Jedi as a standalone film, if that was not part of the saga, that was just a story they told, you're not going to be upset about that any day of the week.
Right.
That's going to be a fine film. But they put it in a trilogy, in a greater saga, and it is the different one. Like,
Yeah, for sure. The different one, and I don't know. I honestly feel like, and I wish, I know you're not the biggest fan of the guy, but I wish Abrams would have committed to doing the trilogy. If they were going to pick him, commit to the whole thing, right? And if he's
I'll
not,
agree with you.
if he's not going to commit to the whole thing, I think Lucasfilm should have found someone else then. They needed a singular voice. We've said it before, singular voice behind the whole thing.
Well, that's what you had with the other two.
Right.
You had George.
Yep.
Whether he was directing it or writing every bit of it, that's all moot. He was there for all of it.
Absolutely.
His involvement was there. There were other people, and that's probably where the strength really came.
Agreed.
Because it was George in collaboration with other people.
Yep.
This was a mess, is what it was.
It was.
All right.
Yeah.
The sequel trilogy was a mess. It was laid out like it was going to be this perfect thing, and we're going to have different visions. It's going to be great until it happened. And then your idea for damage control was to bring in the guy who did the first one.
Right.
Who's obviously going to want to try to reestablish some of the stuff he laid out that was unraveled.
Right.
In the second one. And that just created this whole mess.
It was ineffective to try and do that at that point. I mean, it just didn't work. I mean, and then,
the third one needed, you could have gone one of two ways. Either one, you don't have Johnson do the second one, you have Abrams.
Right.
And Abrams does it all.
Right.
Your other option is you don't have Abrams come back.
Exactly.
You bring someone else in who's going to look at those two pieces and objectively create their own story that hits on the notes of the first two.
Right. Abrams is going to have too much of, he's going to be too married to some of the Force Awakens ideas. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing here. The second film in that, look, you can look at A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones. You do not have something in that middle movie in either of those that literally tries to unravel everything from the first one.
Right.
That has happened never in Star Wars.
Exactly.
You never have the second part completely try to unfold the first one.
I mean, let's really seriously take a look at, what one of the things that people complained about for years, right? Episode 2, right? The I hate sand, all that kind of stuff. But you know why? Right? The kid grew up on Tatooine. It's like, it might be the worst dialogue. It might be, cringy to listen to and watch and all that. But you get it. Because
hey, it ain't no different than us Midwesterners growing up like, man, the snow sucks.
Exactly. Totally.
It's no different.
No different.
It's relatable even.
Yep. So yes, the dialogue was clunky and cringy and all that kind of stuff. And there was more than just that in episode 2, but you got it all because there was context for it all. You know, that we were just making stuff up in episode 8. I mean, when you come down to it, it's like,
well, I mean, at the end of the day, George wasn't sitting there going, "Wow, I got to have the best dialogue I can have."
no.
It was always the greater story.
Yep.
And when you piece all that together, I mean, if you don't believe me, go look and see what you can find for what people thought of the prequel trilogy back in 99,
Right.
2002, 2005. Just go look. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. It actually sounded a lot like we're talking right now about the sequels. But there's a difference.
There's a difference.
All right?
Yeah.
You didn't. Well, I'll say this, and this will probably be unpopular, but I'll say it anyway. You didn't have the blowhards that were going to defend it at all costs back then.
Right.
Everyone wanted to roast it.
Yep.
All right? Everyone wanted to roast it. But it still made a ton of money.
They made a ton of money, and, you know, the people who even were complaining about it, they still went and saw it, and they saw it multiple times. I mean, you know, that was back in the day when you still had lines around the movie theaters to get in.
Right.
I saw those firsthand. So it was like, yes, they were still going, even though they wanted to complain about it, sure. But yeah, they were there.
But one thing I can promise you is you're not going to have this change that happened. Sorry. Thought I was going to sneeze. Sorry.
Oh, that's what.
Trying to fight that back. One thing you're not going to have happen with this sequel trilogy is the same thing that happened with the prequels. Look around right now. Look at the love that those films are getting right now, because people are looking at it as a overarching story, as opposed to, it's not like what I imagined. It's not like the originals.
Right.
Now, granted, the sequel trilogy is what created this. Okay, because they came out the gate and they created an exact copy, or I shouldn't say exact, but as close to an exact copy of the original film in a new movie as you can get without just flat out doing a reboot. Which The Force Awakens is that. I mean, I won't argue the point. It hits on all the same notes. The flow's the same. It is a modern version of A New Hope in an effort to reboot a series without being a reboot.
Right.
Okay. It absolutely is. You can, I mean, shit, you can watch them side by side. It's almost the same thing. But once people got that, once they got that exact copy, they realized they didn't want it. So they look back at the prequels and they're like, wow, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because it told the overarching story. We didn't want to rehash what we already did. We wanted a continuation of the story.
Right.
It took rehashing what we already did to realize that that really wasn't what we truly wanted. Sometimes when you get what you ask for, you realize it's not what you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the good thing about that. That's the good thing that came out of the sequel trilogy, right? The prequels are getting the love they actually deserve.
Well, yeah.
The Clone Wars is getting the love it actually deserves. All that old stuff is getting a ton of love because of what the sequels did.
Well, I will say this. The love that the prequels are getting, okay? I think that was going to come no matter what. I don't necessarily think the sequels made it happen. I think
they made it happen sooner than it would have.
I don't know about that. I think given time, which there was plenty of time, people were coming around to the story. I mean, it was just, okay, that's the story. That's what we got. And that's, go back and rewatch them again. And it's like, it's not as bad as I thought it was kind of thing, right? People, I don't know, not hearing the same complaints that we heard when they first came out
right
much anymore. I'm not so sure that this divide we have in the sequel trilogy is really ever going to go away.
No, because it's not cohesive.
Right.
I mean, what do you unify around? There wasn't even unity in storytelling. How do you unify around that?
Exactly.
You can't.
No, you have the Abrams and Johnson factions.
Yeah, I mean that will never go away.
That will never go away. Exactly. That's a problem.
And that's the worst part is like, shit. I was firmly in the Johnson faction,
right?
And then I got his movie, and I'm like, oh man, you let me down,
right? And ultimately,
I spent 2 years trying to defend it.
Right? Ultimately, I'm not even going to blame the filmmakers themselves because they're going to
no
do what they want to do, and it's the studio. Absolutely, that's the problem.
It's not Abrams' fault. It's not Johnson's fault.
Right.
Yeah, they had their hand in it.
But they are who they are, and they're going to make the film they want to make. In both cases,
well,
you're paying them the money to do it. They have their certain Star Wars canon restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, they're going to.
I'll tell you what, though. I've worked plenty of jobs. I've never got to do my job the way I want to do it versus how they want to do it.
Sure, that's a little different. It's a little different. I mean, it's they're creative types.
I don't care. I don't care if you want to be successful, and all the businesses I've worked for, they're successful, right?
Yeah,
you do it their way because it works. Why would you say, "Oh, well, we're bringing this guy in"? We're going to do it his way.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Look, you're doing a series of films. At some point, you got to go, no, that's not going to work for the studio because how the hell do we recover from that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm sorry. If you are an editor or I don't know, what do they call them? Proofreader, whatever. If you're that person over at Lucasfilm in the time of the sequel trilogy and you read those two scripts, how the hell do you go, oh yeah, this is great?
Yeah, I know. I just feel like these things
because it surely looks like the second guy didn't read the first guy's shit.
Yeah, there is that. But I mean, I feel like if you're of the type of person who's going to be approving a script, these things were made in a time where, let's overturn the apple cart. Let's turn this whole thing on its head. Was kind of like, let's stick our finger up and see which way the wind's blowing. That's the way the wind was blowing, for everything at the time. And it is turning out now in hindsight, well, that's not the way things are going to work the best. So, it's
right. And I'm not comparing these two writers to the other two writers I'm going to mention. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there for you to kind of show what we got. Okay. Now I want you to imagine that the Fellowship of the Ring is written by Tolkien.
Yeah.
Right? But The Two Towers is written by Dan Brown.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and then it's like, okay, how do we fix that? Oh, we're gonna have Return of the King written by Tolkien again.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
guess what? That's just not gonna vibe.
Doesn't work. Exactly. I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Suddenly, Robert Langdon rides in on a horse. Whoa.
Right. Like, what?
Uh,
And I could have went crazier than that, right? But
Yeah,
like,
well,
you know, like, oh yeah, the middle chapter was written by Crichton. Like,
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just got a feeling we are going to
actually, that would have made more sense in my comparison.
yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you went from like, oh, we're in Middle Earth, right? We got this, and then there's dinosaurs, and then we
Right.
got Middle Earth.
Right?
That's what we did.
Exactly. But I have a feeling this is going to be an everlasting debate. It will never go away. And you're going to have...
Hey, in the interest of publicity, great move.
Sure. I guess. If you, you want to keep people talking about it because it's like they, always taking jabs at each other. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, hey, all publicity is good publicity, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You know, if they're talking about you, that's what matters.
Right?
That's what matters. Good or bad. Better to have bad publicity than no publicity.
True.
All right, but we gotta move on.
Yes, we do.
Oh man, because like dead horse, whack, whack, whack.
I know.
All right. Fall of the House of Usher.
Once upon a midnight dreary, as I pondered weak and weary, there came a knocking at my back porch.
Ain't very original, is he?
All right. Fall of the House of Usher. We're at episode 6 now, right? 6?
Yes.
Goldbug.
Yep.
Sorry, this sneeze is not going away. It's just lingering.
That's hilarious.
It's just lingering. It's not that hilarious. It sucks.
Yeah, I know. I know the feeling. But since it's not me, I can laugh.
Thanks, buddy.
Uh-huh.
Appreciate the support. So Goldbug. Man. I was so shocked at one, the way they end this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, departure. 2, Verna. Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
They took that to another level.
Yes.
I mean, we're dealing with I mean, it only goes back to what, 1901. You're not exactly an ancient being, but an ancient being.
Right. Well, that's as far back as they could find photos. You never know.
Right. They didn't have pictures of her and Jesus.
Right. But you never know. I mean, you're left to speculate. It could go further back.
Right. Yeah. They there wasn't flash photography with her and Caesar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hell, that would explain Caesar, right?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty part of that whole scene, where Pym's showing these pictures of her in all these with all these giant leaders in industry, and it's like, okay, so not only are they leaders in industry, but they are all pretty much leaders in industry where there's some faction that makes claims against their corporations and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I don't want to like jump on a side here or anything, but you Monsanto, the people have had complaints about that company for a long time. Standard Oil, they mentioned
I'll tell you what,
Rockefeller. They broke up Standard Oil, so
I'll tell you what, though, if I'm one of these people that are in these pictures that are still alive,
right?
I'm like, are you threatening me?
Yeah, exactly. Screw you.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I feel like you're threatening me.
I mean,
either that or they're making the implication that, she seems to always give that choice. I feel like Vic didn't have one, but everyone else did.
Okay.
That chance to turn it around. I guess these other leaders they took that turn it around moment. Like,
maybe because it could be.
So good job, Zuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he's the one, because it could be argued that at some point a lot of these other people they endured their misfortunes. Maybe not to the degree that the Usher family is, but
Yeah, but Zuck made the right choice.
Yeah.
I guess.
But I do like this, seeing her that far back in time.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. I'm not even sure what the word is I'm looking for. There's something deeper to this whole story, something mystical. There's more to it. It's something we haven't gotten to yet that I'm anticipating is going to be a big aha moment for us,
Oh, for sure. For sure. I don't. This is a tough one, right? This episode is tough because it doesn't have the same, I guess, lead up and like the individuality of the other episodes.
Right.
Because this one really focused on the overarching story. And what's her name? Tamerlane?
Yep, Tamerlane. Yep.
Yeah. So her death is kind of a afterthought.
Kinda.
It's secondary to the rest of it because it's the culmination, right? We're getting closer and closer to that pinnacle of the story.
Right.
I mean, next week we're penultimate, right?
Yes.
We're coming to the end.
But I will say that the story we did get this time, though, does kind of play into that because, there's the talk of her being the new face of Fortunato and what is it, Built or Goldbug,
Right.
And
different direction,
saving the family company and all that kind of stuff, so it kind of plays into all of that. And it clearly is.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't work out because it turns out she's a shitbag anyway, even though she's doing something that could be a new direction.
Right.
She's still corrupted by the whole family business thing.
Yeah.
I don't see how her pitch, her business, her direction is detrimental to society. Not like the other ones.
Right.
Other than, I guess Leo is kind of in the same boat, right? Like, these two are the two that are building distraction companies.
Yeah.
And I think Madeline is the important character here. She's saying this is going to be a good image for us. This is going to be this, and this. The company as a whole and the family as a whole, they see it as the good deed to forgive their bad deeds.
Right.
So that's why they're roped into this, because they're the cover story.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I mean, as a person, Tamerlane, literally, Tamerlane was the worst possible person in this whole story so far. She was the worst.
The worst meaning what?
Just in her demeanor, all that. She was just the worst type of person.
Okay.
Arrogant, all about herself, all about,
Oh, yeah.
she was the worst.
Yeah.
She was the one, in the beginning, okay, and this is going to be awful to say, but you always have this in these types of stories. This is the one that you're hoping gets it.
Right.
She was awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. She was awful to her husband. She was awful to her family members. She was awful to Roderick's wife. She was just an awful person.
Right.
So this one, you were almost kind of rooting for this one.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you got to it, it's like, wow, yay. So, but like I said, her progression here kind of took a backseat to the overarching story.
Yeah.
But at the same time was a very unique death.
Right.
And the end of the episode, right? That was very different.
Yeah, it was different.
Because it's literally she dies, over.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay. We're at the end. There's no Verna walking over top of her. There's no conversation after her death.
Right.
It's just she dies and the episode ends.
Right. And there was plenty of Verna leading up to it, with all the reflections and all that stuff. So
Verna, yeah.
you get the gist of what was going on, I guess,
No, this was a Verna and Pym episode.
Oh yeah, totally.
A lot of Pym. A lot of Pym, more than we've gotten the entire series.
A lot of Pym, yes.
Even Roderick's story is focused on Pym.
Yes. Now, are we going to go down the Pym road here?
Might as well.
Okay. So, these episodes, it's all based off of Poe. So, you know a little bit about the A. Gordon Pym, right? Stories. And probably more than me, but I did notice one thing that made me do a little digging, and I'm kind of getting the gist of, in Poe's stories, Pym was this traveler type guy or something.
Yep.
Okay. And then we heard the story from Roderick about how he, I forget, what was that called? That
it was an expedition to the North Pole.
Yeah, around the world or something like that over the course of 4 years or something. Yeah. So that kind of lines up there. But what I took note of, which made me start looking, was the whole scene where he's at the crime scene of Victorine's place, and he tells the assistant, he's like, cancel my afternoon, and what's the guy's name? Hold on. Oh, I'm supposed to have Richard Parker for dinner. Tell him I'm going to be late. And I thought, what an odd way to say that. Especially because during Roderick's story to August, he says, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Pym ate human flesh. So, when you look up Richard Parker, there's this whole story of, in the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, right? That there's a shipwreck, and these 4 guys get stranded on this island. They have no way of sustaining themselves, and 2 of these men are Arthur Pym and Richard Parker. And Parker suggests that cannibalism is the only way out, and they draw straws to determine the victim. Parker loses and becomes dinner.
Get out of here.
For real. I'm like, come on. This, the level that the dialogue and everything in
the
this
Easter
show.
egg effort in this show.
Yes.
Unbelievable. That is fantastic.
Isn't it? There's so
and you know what?
much.
I read these stories leading up to this.
Right.
And I will admit, okay, I will tell everyone right now, I'll out myself. The A. Gordon Pym stories I found boring as hell.
Right.
Okay, so my level of attentiveness throughout these, not so great.
Right.
Not so great. I found them to be absolutely boring. So I obviously missed some details wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah, when you put certain things together, it's like, oh, that's got to be something, right? And sure enough, you start doing the slightest little bit of digging, and you're finding the connective tissue for these stories. It's
now I will say this, and I'm teasing for next week or the week after. Don't know when it'll show up.
Okay.
But there is something from the A. Gordon Pym stories that may explain Verna.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent.
And it was hinted at in this episode with the place he found. They gave a different name. I'm pretty sure it was a different name in the story. So it's not the same name there.
Oh, the place he found.
Yes, but the peoples may be similar. So
okay,
we'll get there. Like I said, I want to do a little digging before I speak on it. Don't want to sound like an idiot.
Okay, let me just. I'm gonna, because that's something else that triggered a quick search for me. So, the place he found, the what was it? The hole in the planet at the North Pole,
yes,
where there was an island, right? And the island was called Ultima Thule.
Yep.
Okay. And so here's just a few lines from Poe's poem called Dreamland. Okay, he says, "I have reached these lands, but newly, from an ultimate dim Thule, from a wild, weird clime that lieth sublime, out of space, out of time."
Damn.
Okay.
Okay, so all right, now I know what I'm thinking of is going to work.
Okay.
But when it rounds out next week, which is my guess, when we watch the next episode, this is all going to round out, and that's all going to make sense.
Excellent.
Those words right there are going to make it all make sense because they're taking that and combining it with the other.
Right.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
So as soon as I saw that out of space, out of time.
Yeah.
And
he said those words.
Right.
Roderick said those words.
And you know, space and time and Virna being in those pictures from all the way back. It's like, man, this is all, God, it's all lining up. Don't know where it's headed, but it's all lining up. It's cool.
Yeah. You know, this is one of those moments. Like, could you imagine what Edgar Allan Poe would think of all this?
Oh, my God. I'm sure he'd love it. Really. I mean,
he'd probably be like, shit, I was doing this all wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean I could have combined all this into a miniseries?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Made how much? What?
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe, I need a Netflix deal.
Yeah, they gave me $10.
Yeah, exactly.
Which at that time, $10 was fantastic.
Right.
Wasn't the price of gas. It was yeah. So yeah, this is gonna be great. Like, I am really looking forward to this wrap up. Like, I cannot express how excited I am for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, I'm with you there because, you know, you've said it a few times, you know, and is this pick for something more on the show here was simply by chance, you know, Mark Hamill's involvement, but it's turned out to be quite interesting. I love that, you know, I don't know, Arthur Pym, I love the character. I love Mark's portrayal and his, like, he's so unassuming, yet everyone's saying behind the scenes he is like this extraordinary character, you know? So, and it's turning out to be, yeah, somehow, some way he's going to be this.
Right. And I'll say this, though. Dear Disney, hidden Easter eggs work.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You don't have to just outright do it.
Right. Oh, yeah. This is, we've said it over and over. You could just watch this, take this story at face value. You know, it's a little weird, you know, it's, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it's a cool story, and just watch it. But you want to do a little bit of digging, it gets more interesting. It's
way more interesting. Like, leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
More interesting. So yeah, this has been a fun story, and I will say they have upped their game in this horror thriller type genre.
Yeah.
I keep bringing that up. Like, it's got that horror tag, right?
Right.
And I haven't seen it.
Right.
But each week it ramps up more and more into that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the scene where the glass explodes behind Roderick and he falls to the ground.
Yep.
Didn't see that coming.
Right. It was a nice little bit of foreshadowing too for the end of the show.
Yeah, because it's glass.
Yep.
But it didn't really foreshadow the murder or the death too much because of the way the glass exploded, right?
Yeah.
It instantly makes you think someone fell through a window or something, suicide.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you see her, you're thinking suicide, and then it goes into this whole thing. It's like, wow, that's a weird way to die.
Yep, exactly.
So
it was strange.
They're keeping you on your toes. It is a very creative storytelling, and yet paying homage to the original tales.
Yeah.
This is how you do. I don't want to use the word reboot, but if you were doing a reboot, this is how you do it.
Right.
Right? Like, if you are tasked with rebooting a film, you don't retell the film. You make your new film, and you pay homage to it in this way.
Yeah.
This is how you keep things fresh. Like, because these are old stories.
Yes, they are.
You know, Edgar Allan Poe, every single one of his stories, public domain. You can go read them for free.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay? But this is taking those stories, telling them in a new way, and paying homage along the way.
Yep.
This is good storytelling. And good storytelling on old stories.
Yes, absolutely.
So, this is how you be creative when you aren't making something necessarily new.
Right.
Because, let's be real, like, with all the stories that are out there in the world, being super creative is hard. It's hard.
Sure. But again, it's one of those things. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Right.
It takes creativity. It takes a lot of effort. And I honestly feel like a lot of effort was put into this.
Yes.
So.
I'm with you there. Man, could you imagine if the people involved in this did Star Wars?
Yeah, I know. The thought has crossed my mind.
All right, so I am going to pitch something right now as we're wrapping this up. I mean, next week's penultimate.
Right.
Then we wrap up. We got to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to pitch what we're going to do next.
Okay.
There is a new movie out on Netflix. Rebel Moon.
Oh, yes.
You remember talking about this?
We did. We did talk about this.
We did. This is the Zack Snyder Star Wars ripoff.
Yes.
That's what we're...
Okay.
I should say ripoff.
No. This is... he pitched this story to Lucasfilm, though. Yes? I mean, so to speak, this story.
So to speak.
Right? And then, that didn't pan out, so he went off and made it on his own. So I like this idea. Cool.
All right, so we've got 2 more weeks of The Fall of the House of Usher, and then Rebel Moon.
I love it.
So I saw that hit this week. I'm like, oh, I got to tease this.
Okay. Excellent.
So, well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media at The Wars and More on X, facebook.com/The Wars and More. Find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
Who's buried in the brick wall? That's all.
Oh, that's a thought? Okay, well, we'll find out. And we'll talk next week.